The Kraken Podcast.
It's the Kraken Podcast, and this is episode 3 of the Road to the Playoffs series presented by TPL Sports.
Welcome back. We are here. It's week 12, and the postseason picture is, let's just say it's getting chaotic. Things are not just taking shape. They're being violently reformed.
That is the perfect way to put it. The pressure is on. So today, our mission is, well, it's laser focused. We're doing a deep dive into the top-heavy TFC, looking at the league's big contenders and breaking down the games that matter this week.
Especially in the PFC, where those last couple of spots are completely up for grabs.
Exactly. And before we even get to the TFC's dominance, we have to talk about the PFC because, wow, what a shakeup.
A major shakeup. And get this, right now, only 2 Hall of Famers, Major Key and All Day Every Day, are sitting in the top 8.
That's a tight window for the league's historical champs.
Yeah.
So let's start right there because the drama in the PFC is, it's just off the charts.
It really is. Rock City has officially been dethroned.
Yeah.
All Day Every Day is now 8-3. They've taken that number 1 spot.
Mm-hmm.
They're sitting at a 99% playoff probability, and they're looking sharp, riding a 3-game win streak.
And it wasn't some, gentle rise to the top. All Day just dismantled a very good Mudville hoodballing team, 110.86 to 81.02.
Right. They prove they can beat the best from the other conference. They are peaking at the perfect time.
Which is the exact opposite of what's happening with Rock City, and honestly, it's a little concerning to watch.
The Rock City collapse is more than just puzzling. I think it's a strategic failure. They've slid to 7-4, now on a 2-game skid.
And that gut punch was the Week 11 loss to the Valley Lockup Boys. 109.64 to 110.24.
Ugh, by less than a point. That single loss cost them the top seed in the conference.
And that's the really frustrating part, right? Rock City has the 4th highest points for in the entire league, 1368.14. The firepower is there.
It is. But they are hitting a brick wall at the absolute worst possible time.
So is it execution? Is it a depth issue that's finally catching up to them?
Well, I think it's about to get worse. You heard the news about Jamar Chase.
The 1-game suspension?
Yeah.
Losing your top-ranked receiver right now, that is just catastrophic.
Exactly. It's the kind of late-season curveball that can derail a team that's already spiraling. High points for means nothing if you can't get wins in Week 12.
They need to find that October swagger again, fast, or they're going to slide right out of the top 2.
Agreed. And before we move on to the TFC, we do have to officially confirm one thing.
Right. Let's pour one out.
Vinegar Strokes, sitting at 2-9, has been officially eliminated from playoff contention. They're heading to the Revival tournament.
So the dream is over for them, but, redemption awaits.
Okay, let's pivot. Let's talk TFC. This is the locked-in conference, the conference of consistency.
It is, but the internal seeding wars are where things get really interesting.
And it all starts with D's Nets.
Yeah.
I mean, what else can you say? 9-2. They've clinched the TFC title. 100% playoff probability.
And the points for is just staggering. 1432.78. That's a lead of, almost 70 points over the next best team?
It's just a borderline unbreakable level of scoring. And when you look at their roster using our player rank metric, the PRK, it's easy to see why.
Lay it out for us.
Jackson Smith-Njigba is the number 1 ranked wide receiver. The Texans' DST is the number 1 ranked defense. And Pukenaku is right there at WR PRK3.
Elite stability at key positions. But, and there is a but here, even the dominant can be vulnerable.
Here we go. The counterpoint.
They just lost their last game to the Banana Ham Bandits, 107.20 to 113.92. So I gotta ask, was that just a blip or did Banana Ham expose something?
That's a great question. It raises a real question about their sustainability against high-pressure, late-season matchups.
Exactly. Now, right behind them, we've got the solid number 2, Mudville Hoodballing. 8-3, 99% chance to make the dance.
Mudville's all about a high floor. Consistency. They're 3rd overall in points for, just over 1260.
And their anchors are stellar. Amon-Ra St. Brown at WRPRK5.
Yeah.
And, maybe more importantly, Jake Ferguson, the TEPRK2.
That positional advantage at tight end is an absolute cheat code in fantasy. It's a huge weekly edge.
But they also just took a bad loss to All Day Everyday last week, so their ability to take down those top PFC teams is still a big question mark.
It is. Consistency is great, but beating the best requires explosion, and we need to see more of that from them.
Okay, now let's get to the real pressure cooker in the TFC, the 3 versus 4 battle.
Yeah. The high-stakes fight between the Hall of Famer Major Key at 7-4 and the Valley Lockup Boys, just one game behind at 6-5.
This is a massive strategic battle.
It's huge, because here's the kicker. The Valley Lockup Boys own the tiebreaker over Major Key.
Oh, wow.
So if they finish with the same record, those seeds flip instantly. Major Key drops to 4, Valley jumps to 3.
And that completely changes their first-round matchup. So I look at Major Key's roster, Travis Etienne, Nico Collins, and I see consistency, a high floor.
Right. They're reliable.
But are we maybe overrating Valley's variance?
I don't think so. I think we're fairly rating Valley's ceiling. They are fresh off beating Rock City, and they have game-breaking star power that Major Key, well, just doesn't quite match at the top end.
Like who?
Jalen Hurts is QB PRK 6. Saquon Barkley is RB PRK 11. George Pickens is WR PRK 4. My take is that Valley is the team you do not want to see in the playoffs because of that ceiling.
That's a great point. They're heating up. They're dynamic. And they're also central to our next segment, right? The do-or-die scenarios for Week 12.
This is the highest leverage scenario of the entire rank. It all centers around the fight for the PFC's 4th and final spot.
It pits Let 'em Cook, who's currently holding that spot at 6-5 against last year's league champion Chi-Town Love, lurking at 5-6.
And Let 'em Cook is struggling. They're on a 2-game losing streak, and this week they face the Valley Lockup Boys.
That's a brutal matchup. The projections aren't kind to them either. Valley is favored 120.1 to 112.3. That stumble could open the door wide open.
For the defending champs, Chi-Town Love, despite their record, is on fire. A 3-game winning streak. They know how to flip that switch late in the season.
But their opponent is the problem. They've got the tough Mudville hoodballing team. Mudville's favored, but only by a little. 105.5 to 104.1.
It's essentially a coin flip game.
So here's the playoff pivot. This is the narrative we're tracking.
Yeah.
If Chi-Town Love wins that tough game and Let 'em Cook loses to Valley,
Chi-Town Love snatches that 4th and final PSC playoff spot. They hold the head-to-head tiebreaker over Let 'em Cook.
this is the definition of high-leverage football.
It is. Chi-Town knows how to win when it counts, but beating the TFC's number 2 team is a monumental ask. Mudville's not just playing for seeding, they're playing to get their confidence back.
They're going to be motivated. So while the bubble teams fight it out, we can't ignore the teams at the bottom, the Demolition Derby.
Right, the spoilers. Dem Boys of VA, Child Please Jones, and Crack, all sitting at 3-8 with a, let's say, a bleak 1% playoff chance.
Yeah, that's rough, especially for Dem Boys VA on that painful 5-game losing streak. But this is where they become chaos agents.
That's spot on. And you look at Child Play Jones, they might be 3-8, but they still have enough talent where they can pop off for a big week and knock a top team off its path.
They've got nothing to lose. That's psychological freedom. That's dangerous late in the year. A spoiler team ruining a matchup for Major Key or Mudville could completely reshape the bracket.
Absolutely. The psychological variable cannot be understated.
And on the flip side, just to reinforce their status, D's Nuts still has the highest projected total for the week, a massive 127.9 points against the Renegade Reapers.
Yep, one loss is not enough to deter the belief that they are still the TPL favorites. Their roster is just built for huge weeks.
So let's wrap this up. What does all this mean for you, the listener, as we head into these last critical weeks?
It means the TFC has pretty much solidified its top-tier D's Nuts, Mudville, Major Key, and Valley. But the PFC is an absolute volatile mess.
Especially with the defending champ trying to pull off a last-minute heist. The margins are razor thin.
They are. And speaking of thin margins, let's leave you with one final thought. It ties directly back to that Major Key seeding battle.
Okay.
They're facing the Banana Hand Bandits this week. It's a key game, and if you look at their bench, the running back, Isaiah Pacheco, is injured. He's only RB PRK 48, but hear me out.
He's not a superstar, but losing depth hurts. It limits your flexibility.
Exactly. The loss of a seemingly minor depth piece like Pacheco severely limits their ability to navigate that midweek injury chaos. It forces them into tougher start-sit decisions, it could cost them points, and it could jeopardize that number 3 seed against Valley.
And that subtle depth management,
Right.
That's the difference between winning a title and just being happy to make the playoffs.
That's it right there.
That is the analysis we all need heading into Week 12. It is going to be a fascinating weekend of football.
It certainly will. Good luck to your rosters, everyone.
That's all the time we have for this deep dive. We will see you next week on the Kraken. We leave you now with an exciting introduction to a brand new track from the TPL mixtape Full Track 2 titled The Playoffs.
Hey. The setting sun reflects off the Trident Premier League trophy. It's beautiful, it's beautiful. That's the satisfaction I feel, knowing that I'm going to the playoffs, TPL playoffs, TPL playoffs. It's beautiful. TPL playoffs. Talking about a place in Paris. It's the Trident Premier League, fantasy football, where the dogs all eat. What are you, a baby or sleep? Everybody knows this league, so don't say you don't know about the playoffs. TPL playoffs. TPL playoffs. TPL playoffs. TPL playoffs. TPL playoffs. TPL playoffs. Numbers looking light, but I don't back down. Sunday reds on, I'm watching every snap now. My flex hit 30, had them sick, they wanna tap out. I was fighting for the 6th seed, now I'm sitting on the throne. Turn a quiet little roster to a legend of its own. All that wave of wild cooking wasn't just for show. Every ad, every drop, that's the reason that you know. Now it's when I go home, I ain't never gone home. Every touchdown, feeling like I really struck gold. I can see it in their eyes, they don't wanna see me win, but that's too bad, I'm already locked in. TPL playoff. TPL playoff. Trident Premier League final, that's the whole show. Check the score, I'm a 10 with a place to the goal. I've said a little prayer, but the numbers say no. Confetti on the app screen, banners in my mind. Season of the grind, turning history in time. From the draft to the trades, I was 2 steps ahead. Now I'm holding up the trophy that I saw in my head. Ring talk, I'm a TPL legend in the chat now. Name on the trophy, they can never take that down. That shit they gon' fly, try to figure out the plan. But you can't copy hard, you can't duplicate the man. TPL playoff. TPL playoff. TPL playoff. It's beautiful, TPL champions. I don't know if you know, but I know. You gotta know if you know that I know. I know you know, I know you know, I know. We're winning the championship now. I don't know if you know, but I know. You gotta know if you know that I know. I know you know, I know you know, I know. We're winning the championship.